700-page long book. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. This is raraskpopspot. 안녕하세요 친구들. 내 채널에 다시 오신 것을 환영합니다. 이것은 raraskpopspot. K-pop. If you have been around here for a while, then you know that reading is my #1 hobby and has been for my entire life. Reading is a cornerstone of my being. I am literally always reading something new. So for today's video, I thought that it would be fun to share which books I would recommend to the members of 17. And maybe I will turn this into a series in the future where I recommend books to other idol groups. I don't know, we will see. It just felt like something fun to do for today. So let's just jump right into it. I will start by saying that obviously this is all completely subjective, just based on my own opinions and observations of pieces of their personalities that they have chosen to share with us online. So you can take all of this with a grain of salt if you want, but I had a lot of fun with it. A lot of thought and intentionality went into my recommendations, and these are all books that I have read and enjoyed and would genuinely recommend to the members with nothing but goodwill in my heart. So without further ado, we will go in member age order. Well, I guess that's not really member age order. I'll go in member order because I know that Minghao is 8th in the lineup, even though he's not older than Mingyu and DK. So I'm going in member order. Okay, for Coups, I would recommend Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. Catabasis is actually a noun in ancient Greek that means the story of a hero's descent to the underworld. And Catabasis follows Alice Law and Peter Murdoch, who are two college students who journey to hell to save the soul of their academic advisor. And it's a story that just really captures the cost of ambition so well. And I just think that Coups would really appreciate the story. And I absolutely, without a doubt, believe that he would journey to hell and back for his members. So I just really feel like this would be a recommendation that Coups would enjoy. And I think that it would give him a lot to think about. I loved this. This was one of my favorite reads from 2025, so I think that this is a very Coups-esque recommendation. For Jeonghan, our resident sneaky evil genius, I would recommend The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle by Stuart Turton. In The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle dies every day for 8 days. And the main character is actually Aiden Bishop, and he has 8 days to try and identify who Evelyn's murderer is in order to break the cycle. And every day he wakes up in a different guest's body, and he has 8 days and 8 different guests to inhabit to try and identify who at this party is murdering Evelyn Hardcastle. This reminds me of like a mafia game. I think that this could be sort of like Mafia in a book. And I just think that Jeonghan would have a lot of fun trying to guess the plot twists and trying to identify who the killer is. For Joshua, I would recommend The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. This story follows Addie LaRue, who makes a Faustian bargain with the devil to live forever. However, she is cursed so that no one she meets will ever remember her. And the story follows Addie over 300 years as she travels various continents and experiences history and art and different cultures. And finally, after 300 years, she actually meets someone who remembers her. So this book just has a lot of really beautiful themes of art and like a romance aspect to it that for some reason I just feel like Joshua would really appreciate. This is one of my favorite books ever, and I just feel like Joshua would have a similar kind of emotional appreciation for it. I don't know how to explain that, but I think that he would like it. For June, I would recommend How We Became Wicked by Alexander Yates. How We Became Wicked tells the story of a plague called the Wickedness that has divided the population into thirds. You have the wicked, who are the infected, the true, who are the saved, and the vexed, who are the immune. And I can't explain why I get this vibe, but I just feel as though June would enjoy dystopian novels. And this is a very underrated dystopian standalone novel that I just really think that he would enjoy. It's short, it's fast-paced. The ending has a plot twist that you could never ever predict in 1,000,000 years. So I just think that it would kind of blow June's mind, and I think that he would really enjoy it. For Hoshi, I would recommend Vicious by V.E. Schwab. It tells the story of heroes and villains and ordinary people who gain extraordinary abilities after facing near-death experiences. It tells the stories of friends who become enemies And it kind of feels like if an action movie and a comic book had a baby, and I just think that it would keep Hoshi really entertained. Hoshi just always has so much energy and brings so much liveliness to any kind of variety content you ever watch him in, and I just think that he would enjoy the action and the adventure of this series. Okay, so we do know that Wonwoo has read and enjoyed the Dallergut Dream Department Store because he has blurbed it on the cover. So that would lend me to believe that he enjoys kind of fantasy. I mean, Dallergut Dream Department Store is like maybe magical realism verging on fantasy, but maybe it's the fact that he's one of the quieter members and comes across as very introspective. But I have this feeling that Wonwoo would really enjoy chunky, high fantasy, epic storytelling. I can just really see him getting into like the Wheel of Time series or the Realm of the Elderlings. So I am recommending The Shadow of What Was Lost for Wonwoo, which is the first book of the Lycanius trilogy by James Islington. I can't actually even begin to tell you what this series is about because it is far too complex for a 1-minute summary, but it is truly one of the best book series that I have ever read in my entire life. And I just feel like if any member of 17 is going to sit down and read a 700-page long book, it's Wonwoo. For Woozi, I would recommend Alone with You in the Ether by Olivia Blake. This book is very artistic in that each of the 6 parts is written slightly differently stylistically. So I think that as a musical artist, Woozi would appreciate that in the actual writing of this book, but it also raises really introspective questions about love and time and mathematics, and I don't know, I just get the feeling that this book would inspire him in his work. So I think that he would really appreciate the way that this story is told and the reflective questions that it brings up as you're reading. For Minghao, I would recommend Water Moon by Samantha Soto Yambao. It tells the story of Hana, who is a woman who inherits a pawn shop on the back streets of Tokyo, where you can pawn your life choices and deepest regrets. And this book is just full of so much achingly beautiful and magical, whimsical sort of yearning and love that I think that it matches Minghao's vibe very well. I can't actually even put into words how utterly majestic this book is and how deeply you feel the stories of all of the characters. And as someone who deeply appreciates art and the beauty of the natural world, I think that Minghao would just really, really love this story and the characters and everything about it. This one, you can see, I think I literally clutched my heart while I'm talking about it. It's just such a beautiful book, and something about the whimsical magic of it just really makes me think of Shu Minghao. Coming up with a recommendation for Mingyu was maybe the most difficult for me. I think that if he is not a reader, I would recommend Last of the Talons by Sophie Kim. And if he is a reader, but maybe not a reader of fantasy, first of all, I would make a reader out of him if he doesn't enjoy reading, and I would make a reader of fantasy out of him if he does enjoy reading, but maybe not fantasy, with this series. I just truly believe in the power of the Talons trilogy to rope Mingyu in as a fantasy reader, and I think that specifically he would really enjoy Rui's character, as well as the Imyugi and the Young that come into play in the 2nd and 3rd books in the series. For DK, I would recommend Darker by 4 by Jun Seol-tan. And this is a very action-packed, fast-paced urban fantasy that I think would keep DK engaged in trying to guess what's going to happen next. But there's also kind of a levity to this book with this character Zizi, who brings a lot of funny moments into the seriousness of the storyline that I think would keep DK laughing while he was reading. So I think that this would be a good recommendation for DK for that reason. For Seungkwan, I would recommend Looking for Alaska by John Green. This is possibly my favorite book of all time. My main argument is that Seungkwan is the man who wrote Raindrops. End of argument. But really, I feel like Seungkwan's solo Raindrops has a similar sort of vibe to Looking for Alaska, in that it's just a deeply emotional sort of nostalgic almost kind of vibe. We know that Seungkwan has watched When Life Gives You Tangerines, and if he watched and enjoyed that emotional kind of K-drama, Looking for Alaska has also been adapted into a TV show that I think that he would enjoy watching after he's read the book. I just feel like Seungkwan comes across as having really deep and really big emotions, and I think that those are similar to the kind of emotions that the main character Pudge expresses in this book, and I just think that he would really appreciate this story. For Vernon, I would recommend This Is How You Lose the Time War by Amal El-Motar and Max Gladstone. We know that Vernon enjoys comic books, he has mentioned that in the past, and this is a short sci-fi novel that I think would be adapted into a fantastic comic book if ever given the chance. But it follows the story of Red and Blue, who are two time-traveling rivals who fall in love and must change the past in order to protect their future. And it is just so good. It is like an incredibly done sci-fi story for a roughly 200-page long book, and it is very time paradoxy, and since we also know that Vernon has said that he enjoys Everything Everywhere All at Once, I think that he would love This Is How You Lose the Time War. And last but not least, for Dino, I would recommend Midnights with You by Clara Sonko. Midnights with You follows the story of Jay and Dee Dee, who are two troubled teens with difficult home lives, and they live across the street from one another, and over the course of several midnight secretive driving sessions, Jay teaches Dee Dee how to drive because her mom doesn't want to teach her, doesn't want her to learn. This is blurbed by Anne Liang as being an achingly beautiful coming-of-age story, which I do agree with, and I just feel like Dino is a secret certified yearner, and I think that he would become super invested in Jay and Dee Dee's story. And I think that he would find the coming-of-age story that's told in this book the kind of thing that he doesn't want to put down, like he never wants it to end. So I don't know. I think that Dino would really enjoy Jay and Dee Dee's story. Okay, so that is it. Those are the 13 books that I would recommend to the 13 members of 17. I really did have a lot of fun with this video. Talking about books is one of my favorite topics to nerd out about, so this was a lot of fun, and I hope that you watching found a new book recommendation that maybe you want to check out, because all of these are fantastic reads. I would recommend all of them to anyone, honestly, but it was fun trying to pair up a book with a member based on how much I think that they would like it. So that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching to the end if you are still here. Please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and let me know in the comments if you have other opinions about books that you think the members of 17 would enjoy, and let me know why, because that would be so much fun if my comments were suddenly flooded with lots of other ideas and opinions, and maybe I would find some new recommendations to pick up as well. Thank you for watching. We can go to bloopers now. Bye friends! 보아주셔서 감사합니다. 안녕 친구들. 이제 블루퍼리로 이동할 수 있습니다. 즐기세요. Calabasas follows the story of two college students who, hold that thought, Aiden Bishop, and he has 8 days to gonna sit down and read a 700-page long book, Watermoon by Samantha, because I don't know if I get the as well as for Vernon, I would recommend